Hello everyone, welcome to Mind Podcast Buddhism, the best channel for sharing knowledge about Buddhism. Today we will talk about the topic, seeking and living happily according to Buddhism. Join us as we explore the wisdom of Buddhist teachings and discover how they can guide us towards a truly fulfilling and joyful life. Chapter 1, Seeking Happiness. Thinking about the poor. The Bodhi Prince Sutta, the 85th discourse in the middle-length discourses, introduces perspectives and methods for seeking happiness. Through this discourse, two prominent views on the nature of happiness emerge. One represents Brahmanism, while the other reflects the spiritual principles of Buddhism. According to Brahmanism, one must undergo a process of asceticism to reach the ultimate peak of true happiness. In contrast, the Buddha teaches the transformation of the mind to diminish the strength of pain, afflictions, and karmic hindrances, allowing true happiness to be achieved. The discourse begins with the story of Prince Bodhi, whose name means enlightenment. Prince Bodhi, the crown prince of a flourishing kingdom, is a devout Buddhist. Despite his devoutness, the elements of Brahmanical customs and beliefs still deeply imprint his consciousness. Upon completing a magnificent palace named Kokonada, he prepares for the inauguration ceremony. He invites the Blessed One and the Sangha to consecrate the ground, believing that the merit, happiness, peace, and prosperity will endure in the palace. He orders his servants to invite the Buddha and the Sangha to witness the offering ceremony. The Buddha silently accepts the invitation. 3 times the invitation is extended, and 3 times it is silently accepted. Before the offering ceremony, Prince Bodhi meticulously prepares everything. He orders the finest white fabrics to be laid from the staircase to the palace threshold. The interior is also decorated predominantly in white. That morning, after the exquisite dishes were prepared, he sent his servants to invite the Buddha. The Blessed One, donning his robe and holding his bowl, leisurely walks into the city and stops at Prince Bodhi's palace. To show his respect, Prince Bodhi waits outside the door from early morning. Although he knows the Buddha will only arrive at the mealtime, his respect compels him to wait without feeling tired or uncomfortable. When the Buddha arrives, Prince Bodhi and his family prostrate and greet him, personally leading the Buddha and the Sangha on a tour. After exploring the garden and reaching the steps, the Buddha stops and stands for a while, not proceeding further. Prince Bodhi then says to the Buddha, "Venerable Sir, our family knows you are busy with many dharma duties, but out of compassion for us, you have come here. Please walk on these white cloths so our family can receive blessings, happiness, and long-lasting peace." Despite being invited 3 times, the Buddha remains silent. In this context, the Buddha's silence differs from the silence of accepting the invitation. Generally, in the cultural context of Buddhism, silence signifies consent. When addressed, if one has no differing opinion, silence expresses agreement. All decisions in the Sangha before reaching a resolution or a dharma duty announcement are decided by unanimous silent consent. However, in this case, the Buddha's silence has a different meaning. He looks affectionately at his attendant Ananda, who has been close to the Buddha for nearly 25 years and understands his intentions well. Ananda tells Prince Bodhi, "Roll up this cloth. Do not waste it, because the Blessed One is thinking about the countless poor people who lack food and clothing." Following Ananda's advice, Prince Bodhi orders the servants to roll up the cloths and remove all the extravagant decorations deemed unnecessary by the Buddha for the offering ceremony. Only then does the Buddha step on the stairs, enter the house, and sit at the prepared seat. Performing merit with a generous heart. The story opens with a view on merit. Not only Buddhists but followers of Brahmanism and other Indian religions of the time held similar views and behaviors, believing that inviting spiritual figures would bring happiness and peace. To express utmost respect, Prince Bodhi and his family waited from morning until noon for the Buddha. Waiting long hours under the scorching sun, post-rainy season, drenched in sweat, reflects their immense respect. He meticulously prepared, thinking that such offerings would bring merit to his family. In Indian customs, white is used for rituals, especially for seeking offspring. Decorating in white was believed to fulfill desires such as having a son to inherit the throne or continue the family lineage. Prince Bodhi followed these customs meticulously. Ananda's statement, because the Blessed One thinks of the poor, is significant. To gain merit, it is essential to serve the community and others, as the Buddha's principle, serving sentient beings, is offering to the Buddhas, suggests. If the Buddha had desired luxury, he would not have become a spiritual practitioner but a wealthy and powerful king. Monastics also renounce their worldly possessions and status to live simply and receive offerings from lay followers. The Buddha suggests that Prince Bodhi should consider creating merit by helping the less fortunate in such grand inaugurations. Monastics do not need luxurious offerings. Offering the Buddha's teaching on merit, the Buddha emphasizes that lavish offerings are not necessary to create merit. Lay people and followers often prepare elaborate offerings, including the finest foods available in the kingdom. However, monastics live simply. Extravagant offerings may lead to indulgence, contrary to their practice. The Buddha teaches that monastics should eat without emphasizing taste or enjoyment, as attachment through the tongue can diminish mindfulness and awareness. Simple meals maintain health for effective practice, reciprocating lay followers' devotion. Elaborate meals, of which only a small portion is consumed, lead to wastage. In ancient India, eating habits were cultural and culinary traditions. The Buddha and the Sangha ate similarly to others, using the right hand for eating and the left for personal hygiene. The bowl held just enough to sustain health for a day. During meals, practitioners should not select the best portions first, leading to sifting and mixing. Instead, they should eat in order, consuming what is on top. They should not criticize the taste, avoiding attachment to food. Lay people offering to monastics should remember the Buddha's teachings. Avoid lavish offerings, as most will be wasted. Simple offerings like vegetables, tofu, or mushrooms are nutritious and inexpensive. Merit is linked to making offerings, rooted in the cause-effect process. Generosity and respect are the causes, and merit is the effect. This process is natural, but what we do must be meaningful and valuable. Without mindfulness, even large offerings may yield little result. Buddhist laypeople should be practical when making offerings. Some offer items like toothbrushes, toothpaste, notebooks, and pens during the 3-month rainy season retreat. If everyone offers such items, they may last 10 years. Offer what is needed, not surplus or duplicates, for the offerings to serve their purpose. Following this discourse's spirit, offering simple meals can save significant money. Instead of spending millions on premium foods, simple meals cost only a fraction. At Gyeko Temple, where around 30 members reside, daily groceries cost only 150 yen, excluding rice and spices. The average meal costs only 5,000 BND. Monastics maintain health with a modest diet. Consuming too many chemically processed foods increases health risks. Offering such foods may not create merit. Understanding nutrition helps in offering foods that support practice and health. Offering for merit is a gateway to happiness, undeniable but effective only when done correctly. Many Buddhists respect monastics by offering them the best delicacies while neglecting their parrots at home. This is a mistake. The Buddha's message through Ananda's words suggests that significant merit and happiness come from meaningful actions like helping the poor during grand events. Releasing animals, meaningful merit. Some Buddhists release birds or fish, hoping for merit, longevity, peace, and prosperity. This action is valuable but should be done naturally. For instance, when encountering caged birds or fish, out of compassion, release them back to nature. Placing orders for animals to be released for personal merit does not hold the same value. Ordering animals encourages trapping, which is unethical. Releasing animals should be spontaneous, not planned. Some Buddhists keep birds in tiny cages, waiting until after the midday chanting, believing that chanting increases merit. However, by then, many birds may have died. Understanding the spirit of releasing animals, it should be done immediately. No need to invite monks for chanting during release ceremonies. Simply open your heart with great compassion, wishing for the animal's happiness and freedom. This sincere intention increases merit, regardless of formal rituals. The Buddha emphasizes thinking of the poor. In 1994, during a visit to India, releasing animals became popular among Vietnamese, Chinese, and Taiwanese pilgrims, hoping for greater merit. Consequently, impoverished Indians who loved animals started trapping them for the pilgrims. This practice is contrary to Buddhist principles. Meaningful help. During the annual floods in central Vietnam, livestock perish, rice sprouts, and there is no food. Diseases spread as an aftermath. Relief teams bring bulky supplies like noodles, incurring high transportation costs. Instead, money envelopes are light, cost-effective, and can help more families. Before donating, convey the social value to alleviate their suffering and support recovery. In previous years, during disasters in India, like the earthquake causing mass casualties and destruction, an Australian Buddhist delegation sought our guidance. We suggested providing temporary shelters, large water containers, and cooking utensils, along with financial aid. Understanding the nature of disasters allows us to respond effectively. Our Foundation for Buddhist Charity and Publishing has clear policies for donations. Not all temples' requests are met. We only send items needed for chanting, not for distribution to lay people, as this leads to superstition rather than practice. Ensuring meaningful donations align with the Buddha's message to think of the poor. Through understanding and practical actions, we create meaningful merit, leading to genuine happiness. Happiness and the middle way. After receiving the offerings, Prince Bodhi posed a question about the nature of happiness. Venerable Lord, in my opinion, happiness does not exist by itself. Happiness exists because there is suffering. This philosophy comprises two parts. The first part reflects the principle of dependent origination, stating that all phenomena exist interdependently, influencing and conditioning each other. Happiness does not exist in itself. It must be supported and conditioned by external factors and environments to bring true joy. The second part asserts that happiness exists because there is suffering. The Blessed One responded, I once thought like that, but after practicing the middle way, I quickly recognized and acknowledged that this is a mistaken view. The second part is akin to the saying, after the rain comes the sunshine, which encourages people that experiencing suffering is necessary and that every happiness requires a price, so one should strive forward and not give up halfway. Such encouragement helps people overcome difficulties, but it is mistaken to think that one must endure suffering to achieve true happiness. The Buddha taught that there are methods, if correctly practiced, that lead to success without having to endure any suffering. The issue lies in accurate judgment and implementation. Many people strive repeatedly, fail, and try again, only to remain in the same place without any progress due to not grasping the right methodology. A few days ago, two young entrepreneurs came to me, having just gone bankrupt due to the stock market. They asked the temple for a charm or amulet to recover their losses. After pondering for a few minutes, I opened a cabinet and took out two Buddha statues, one of Avalokiteshvara and one of Maitreya. I gave the Avalokiteshvara statue to the older one and the Maitreya statue to the younger one, saying, "These are your protective charms. Take them home, honor and worship them, and vow to work righteously. Only then will the Buddha bless you." Naturally, they were somewhat disappointed when advised to give up the stock market. The path to happiness must be built on the right methodology. Correct methods and merit yield virtues, not just praying for the Buddha's blessings or relying on charms. In the story from the sutra, the Buddha did not want Prince Bodhi to be disappointed by the customary beliefs that one must invite the Sangha to bestow blessings for merit. He subtly implied that beyond offering rituals for merit, one must also engage in concrete actions to succeed. Returning to Bodhi's statement, happiness exists because there is suffering, the Buddha was haunted by this notion for 6 years. He became one of the most renowned ascetics of his time. The sutras describe that he ate only 7 sesame seeds a day, a symbolic representation. Sesame seeds are highly nutritious and can strengthen the body, addressing degenerative bone conditions and joint pain. After 6 years of asceticism, the Buddha ensured his longevity until 80 due to this regimen. The Buddha chose the path of severe asceticism because Brahmanical spiritual leaders believed that torturing the senses would extinguish the desire for pleasure, and only when sensory perceptions died completely would happiness begin. Misunderstanding this, many practiced severe asceticism, resulting in illness, suffering, and premature death. Most Brahmanical ascetics died between 40 and 50 years old. The Buddha was the only one to live to 80 because he quickly changed to follow the middle way, balancing emotions, life, and material consumption. He stated that upon discovering the middle way, he truly tasted the happiness of enlightenment. Severe asceticism did not lead him anywhere, although he achieved the realms of non-perception, and neither perception nor non-perception during short periods. The realm of non-perception is an insight into the absence of inherent existence. In one way or another, suffering exists because we identify it as ourselves. This contemplation is a temporary therapeutic anesthesia, not a long-term solution, as we still face different forms of suffering after meditation. Suffering remains suffering. The neither perception nor non-perception realm is a meditative state where neither thoughts nor perceptions control the mind. This method is also a partial therapy, offering limited support, but not an ultimate solution. Realizing that severe asceticism led nowhere, the Buddha bathed in the river, regained his health, and meditated with the high determination, "If I do not attain enlightenment, I will not leave this place." After 49 days of correct practice with the middle way, he attained the highest enlightenment. Meditation practice. The Buddha explained to Bodhi that it is unnecessary to endure suffering to achieve happiness. Only correct practice is needed. He introduced the path of meditation. Meditation differs from yoga. While yoga emphasizes physical health to maintain a sound mind, meditation trains the mind to release psychological constraints and suffering. The essence of meditation is letting go, avoiding identifying oneself with pain, adversities, or obstacles, and seeing oneself as a victim. Through meditation with breathing, smiling, and relaxed awareness, practitioners transcend both favorable and unfavorable conditions, attaining high states of happiness. Secondly, through meditation, practitioners achieve the bliss of the first, second, third, and fourth jhanas. This bliss is not sensory but a profound, tranquil state, often compared to immersing in a cool stream on a hot summer day. This bliss results from mental transformation when greed, hatred, and ignorance are shed. Practitioners experience serene, light-hearted states of mind, leading to genuine happiness. Thirdly, for deeper and more enduring happiness, one should choose monastic life to overcome sensory pleasures, especially sexual desire. Sensory pleasure is a chemical reaction in the brain, leading to dependence. Chasing this satisfaction makes one a slave to it. Anything that enslaves and binds cannot be true happiness. Therefore, at a deeper level, happiness for a monastic is liberating from psychological obsessions and sexual desires. Mastering oneself and transforming sexual energy into compassionate service brings greater happiness. For laypeople, practicing meditation at the initial monastic level can provide deeper happiness than ordinary pleasures. Time to attain happiness. After hearing the Buddha's teachings, Prince Bodhi asked, "Venerable Lord, how long does it take to achieve the happiness you described?" The Buddha did not answer directly, but gave an example of training an elephant. He asked Bodhi, "Can a person lacking faith, having many illnesses, being deceitful, lazy, and foolish, succeed in training elephants?" Prince Bodhi answered based on his experience, "Failing in any one of these 5 aspects makes training elephants impossible, let alone having all 5 faults." In ancient times, princes of the shot class learned to train elephants for warfare and also practice swordsmanship and archery to protect their thrones and military careers, as power relied on military strength. Princes were well versed in elephant training. A trainer without faith cannot handle a fierce elephant. The fiercer the elephant, the more valuable it is. Therefore, faith is essential. Secondly, a trainer needs health to endure and overcome falls. Thirdly, elephants are sensitive and can sense the owner's attitude. If the trainer is deceitful and lacks genuine intention, the elephant will resist, making training difficult. Many trainers died due to their anger and hatred toward elephants. Fourthly, laziness precludes success. A lazy person works sporadically, failing to utilize their potential. Success requires consistent, long-term effort. Finally, without intelligence, one cannot achieve good results despite desires and efforts. After hearing Bodhi's explanation, the Buddha said, "A spiritual seeker, whether lay or monastic, must possess these 5 qualities to attain happiness. When these are present, time becomes irrelevant. 7 years, 7 months, 7 days, or 7 moments depend on the correct methodology." Practicality in the present is a distinct feature of the Buddha's teachings. Therefore, while practicing any method, we should not think of rebirth in the Pure Land after death. Such expectation is mistaken. Practicing the Buddha's teachings brings immediate happiness. If we practice correctly, results manifest quickly. Long-term practice without happiness indicates a wrong path, requiring consultation with a qualified spiritual teacher. Happiness is practice. First, believe that the Buddha is not a deity or God. This distinction is absent in other scriptures, where God is seen as an omnipotent, omnibenevolent, and omniscient creator. The Buddha said these are empty claims made by believers creating gods rather than gods creating humans. The Buddha advised people to believe that he was a human being like us. Through correct practice and the middle way, he achieved serenity and liberation. Therefore, he encouraged faith in him, avoiding self-doubt. This is crucial. Second, maintain health and minimize illness. The Dhammapada states health is the greatest blessing. Many wealthy people suffer chronic illnesses, spending fortunes on medicine in hospitals, unable to eat or sleep well, tormented by pain. Success and true happiness require good health. Practice meditation, walking, Buddhist duties, repentance, and merit-making for health. Balance diet, rest, and work scientifically for enduring health. Third, be truthful and loyal to Buddhist ideals and practice. Truthfulness and loyalty in relationships and to the Dharma means steadfastness despite temptations or coercion to betray. The Dharma brings peace and value to life. Courage ensures loyalty to the Buddhist teachings. Truthfulness, integrity, and selflessness in actions characterize an honest person, leading to success and happiness. Fourth, diligently avoid evil and practice good. Some avoid Buddhism, thinking they have never done wrong, believing Buddhists are sinners. In reality, not doing wrong avoids punishment but does not generate merit. Merit comes from doing good deeds. Thus, avoid evil, do good must be practiced together. Stopping evil prevents future suffering, and doing good erases past misdeeds, changing life's destiny. Fifth, possess wisdom about the arising and cessation of phenomena. Though listed fifth, wisdom supports the previous four factors. The Buddha said wisdom is understanding the arising and cessation of phenomena. With wisdom, one avoids blind faith in deities or fate, seeing clearly that life flows like a river. Understanding this flow allows changing it through will, effort, and transformation. With wisdom, one becomes proactive, not passive or dependent, working diligently for high results. Wisdom about life's arising and cessation includes impermanence, non-self, and dependent origination, the three core insights of Buddhism. Lacking wisdom about arising and cessation, one cannot achieve lasting happiness. Facing loss, suffering, and death, this wisdom prevents despair and loss. Recently, a family brought a young man around 20 who seemed possessed. He was overwhelmed by past excesses, leading to severe mental distress. When asked his name, he gave a woman's name, saying he died long ago, unaware of details. When asked who his parents were, he identified his real father beside him. This confusion indicated mental disorder, not possession. If possessed, he would have identified with a spirit, not his real father. Nervous system disorder caused his identity confusion. When he first saw me, he was terrified, clutching his father, saying, "Teacher, don't come near me," trembling with fear. I advised his family against seeking shamans, suggesting psychiatric treatment. Family support is crucial to prevent long-term madness from identity crisis. I recommended a simple practice, breathing and affirming, "I am not afraid, I am happy, I am peaceful, I am healthy, no one will harm me." It took him 30 minutes to memorize this. A week later, his family reported improvement. Understanding the roots of issues, their arising and cessation, provides solutions. Misjudgment complicates problems. Correct diagnosis and treatment yield quick solutions. 3 times taking refuge in the 3 jewels. After hearing the Buddha's teachings, Prince Bodhi deeply appreciated and bowed to the Buddha. A young attendant was surprised, as those impressed by the Buddha usually took refuge in him. The attendant asked, "Prince, why don't you become the Buddha's disciple? This is a rare opportunity. Having invited the Buddha for offerings, it's easy to take refuge. Don't miss this precious chance." Prince Bodhi bowed again and smiled at the attendant, saying, "Today, I didn't take refuge yet, but it's not my first time. This is my 3rd time. The first was in my mother's womb. The second was at 3 or 4 years old when my Buddhist nurse brought me to meet the Buddha. This is the 3rd time." Then he respectfully requested the Buddha, "Please accept me as your lay disciple from now on." The Buddha agreed. This incident shows that Buddhists can retake refuge when necessary. If one's teacher is still alive, retaking refuge isn't necessary to avoid misunderstanding. One may seek guidance from any qualified teacher outside their own. This aligns with Buddhist encouragement. Suttana visited 52 different teachers. The Buddha in the Amitabha Sutra introduced his disciples to Amitabha Buddha for guidance. In the Medicine Buddha Sutra, he encouraged following the healing practices of Medicine Buddha. The Buddha didn't monopolize disciples but sought assistance from peers in teaching. Following this spirit, teachers shouldn't restrict their students from learning from other capable teachers. Taking refuge in the womb or as a child brings merit and support from relatives, but lacks deep understanding of the Dharma's ideals and ethical life. Retaking refuge helps deepen this understanding. Though already taken refuge, with one's teacher still alive, one can seek another qualified teacher for deeper learning. The number of times taking refuge isn't important. It's about reminding oneself of being a Buddhist, embodying enlightenment in actions, words, and deeds for lasting happiness. The sutra implies that taking refuge in the three jewels is a path to happiness. If an ideal teacher isn't found, one should still take refuge in the three jewels, as Buddhism values principles over individuals. Idolizing a teacher contradicts Buddha's spirit. Taking refuge in the Buddha's teachings and practice path is crucial, unlike other religious customs. Chinese Buddhist tradition honors Master Tiao Lu Shi, who studied Buddhist precepts 30 times, thoroughly understanding them. Repeated learning integrates precepts, ethics, and practice into one's natural response. We tend to feel bored after learning something once. Understanding is one thing, making it part of life is another. Repeated learning deepens understanding in practice. Each reading of a sutra should involve fresh thinking and renewal. Depending on psychological state, perception, and environment, acceptance varies. Reading sutras with a mindset of inquiry and discovery keeps them fresh. Venerable Thich Tri Tink, over 90, leader of Vietnamese Buddhism, daily reads sutras despite long-time monastic life and translating Mahayana scriptures. Summary: the path to happiness involves meritorious deeds with a generous heart, addressing the needs of the unfortunate. Secondly, the essence of happiness lies in the middle way, not through suffering. Thirdly, the time to achieve happiness depends on correct methodology and practice. Right practice leads to quick results. Wrong practice may take decades without progress. Fourthly, the path to happiness involves practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, having faith, health, honesty, diligence in doing good, and wisdom about the arising and cessation of phenomena, leading to present life peace and happiness. Finally, regardless of talent or intelligence, one shouldn't miss the opportunity to take refuge in the three jewels. Some anonymous Buddhists read sutras and practice well but hesitate to take refuge, thinking they're better than monks. Refuge isn't about skill, it's about finding the right path. Compared to the Buddha, we're like grains of sand compared to Mount Meru, fireflies to the sun, drops of water to the ocean. Taking refuge offers invaluable learning from the Buddha and becoming like him. Taking refuge in the Dharma empowers practice. Following the Dharma avoids idolizing individuals, preventing disappointment. Monastics and laypeople should regard the three jewels as their teacher. Buddhist texts don't mandate exclusive loyalty to one teacher. The initial teacher guides us to become disciples of all genuine practitioners, avoiding sectarianism and promoting common benefit. This is the primary spirit emphasized in this sutra. Chapter 2, The Art of Living Happily, Introduction to the Kandaraka Sutta. The Art of Living Happily in the Kandaraka Sutta, number 51 in the middle-length discourses, involves two key practices. 1. To attain happiness, never sow the seeds of suffering for yourself or others. 2. Build happiness by cultivating the seeds of happiness with skill and method. The dramatic essence of this sutta illustrates many desires, searches, and expectations of happiness end up entangled with and clinging to suffering. If happiness begins with passion, a sense of responsibility, and persistent effort, these are merely necessary factors, but not the crucial or decisive ones. Methodology, practice, and the path of spiritual transformation are the true measures of a genuinely happy life. The sutta is a dialogue between the Buddha and the ascetic Kandaraka and his son about the nature of religion and truth. Through this brief dialogue, the Buddha introduces a spiritual lifestyle aimed at empowering humans to overcome suffering. Commonly, happiness is equated with sensory pleasures, such as quenching thirst, satisfying hunger, wearing new clothes, fulfilling the need for adornment, and maintaining physical health. Equating sensory pleasures with happiness leads many to sacrifice their true happiness in pursuit of material values. In this context, the pebbles of material desire and the economic globalization can diminish human happiness if not sifted out. Therefore, Buddhism introduces happiness from a perspective tied to ethical living, ensuring it brings humanistic and peaceful values to oneself without causing harm to others. The essence of happiness in Buddhism is intertwined with the concept of goodness. The definition of goodness includes two aspects. Firstly, it brings ethical benefits to oneself and others. These ethical benefits' value and effect extend beyond the present to the future. This is the basic measure of what is termed goodness. Similarly, the Buddha linked the nature of goodness with behaviors leading to happiness. Sensory pleasures, momentary exhilaration, material joys, conveniences, and conditions leading to a comfortable life are not the essence of happiness because they only satisfy a small part of the present and are challenged by the law of time. In the future, these pleasures may not persist in the same way and might even appear oppositely. Secondly, in the pursuit of livelihood, equating means to happiness, many violate laws and abandon ethical living. This is not considered happiness. Happiness in Buddhism must be associated with ethical living and spiritual transformation. The Sutta unfolds in three parts. The first is Kandaraka's declaration about the educational nature of the Buddha's Dharma. The second is Pessa's, Kandaraka's son, statement about ethical living and the nature of suffering and happiness in life. The third is the Buddha's declaration. These three statements provide a comprehensive view of happiness in general and the path of spiritual transformation in Buddhism. Kandaraka's praise. Once while the Buddha was living near Gagara Lake in Kampa, a handsome young man named Pessa, accompanied by his father Kandaraka, came to visit the Blessed One. Observing the thousands of monks sitting silently under the trees, the two were profoundly impressed and felt that no words could express their reverence for the Buddha's moral and spiritual training of the monastic community. Kandaraka exclaimed, "The Enlightened One is truly marvelous and rare. All the monks under his spiritual guidance have either attained or are on the path to attaining the noble fruits." The Pali Canon refers to them as those attained the level of non-learning and those on the path of learning. The term non-learning is a technical term describing one who has completed ethical education and no longer requires further moral and spiritual training. Such a person no longer reverts to lay life, is not entangled in worldly pleasures and pains, and is not influenced by worldly fluctuations of honor and disgrace. On the other hand, learning here does not imply extensive knowledge, but describes those on the path to completing ethical and spiritual education. On the path means they are not regressing and are progressing until there is nothing more to learn and attain. An adept who attains the noble fruits is described in Pali as, "The afflictions and sufferings have fallen away, the noble life has been accomplished. What should be done has been done, what should be avoided has been transcended. The burden of suffering in the cycle of birth and death has been laid down. The ideal of practice has been accomplished. All mental and perceptual fetters have been eradicated. Truly liberated by wisdom, they do not return to a state of suffering." These statements describe the nature of an adept who has attained the noble fruits, which is the inevitable result of a methodical path of practice towards happiness and away from suffering. Those on the path of learning are described as on the path of morality, with a system of precepts as safeguards for the senses, enabling practitioners to live mindfully, well established in the four foundations of mindfulness regarding the body, mind, feelings, and mental objects, dhammas. Lay Buddhists who practice mindfulness as taught by the Buddha can attain noble fruits like the monastics. The opportunity to become noble beings is open to all. The crucial point is the method and practice of cultivation. This is the declaration about the educational nature of the Buddha as a path to spiritual perfection, lauding him as an educator of morality and spirituality. This praise is skillfully linked to the event of Kandaraka and his son, witnessing thousands of monks in absolute silence under the Buddha's spiritual guidance in the forest. Absolute silence is challenging to achieve. There are two forms of silence. Silence in verbal expression. A person may not speak, socialize, or express their attitude, knowledge, opinions, or ideas about anything. This silence may indicate agreement but could also signify opposition. This is not absolute silence. Someone silently agreeing will have internal dialogues of appreciation and admiration. Conversely, those opposing will engage in monologues, reasoning, creating dramas. They play both protagonist and antagonist roles, debating with views they disagree with. This silence is a form of extensive internal monologue. Absolute silence, trained by Buddhist practitioners, is the art of focusing the mind on the four objects of mindfulness. Firstly, being aware of one's existence at the moment of mindfulness practice. Observing bodily movements makes the mind uninvolved with external objects or phenomena. Thus, the mind becomes tranquil. Human emotions generally exist in conjunction with the body. Without proper training, emotions may wander or become entangled in any sensory-related issue. Practitioners maintaining mindfulness keep emotions balanced and controlled, understanding their nature and returning them to the present. Consequently, their mind no longer harbors mixed joy and sorrow. Practitioners control their mind, observing its reactions, good or bad, greed or non-greed, anger or non-anger, ignorance or wisdom, transforming these into tools for their practice. They fully control their senses and mental responses to external objects. The four foundations of mindfulness enable practitioners to achieve internal silence, perceiving the tranquility and depth within. They no longer crave sensory pleasures, achieving serenity reflected in their eyes, face, expressions, and posture. Those who are silently agreeable or opposing can only maintain this state for a limited time. Absolute silence through meditative training allows extending tranquility as desired. Ancient practitioners aimed to calm emotions and thoughts entirely, achieving stillness for days, months, or years. Absolute silence is crucial for opening the spiritual path. Modern Buddhist meditation retreats worldwide often require practitioners, regardless of religious background, to minimize unnecessary reasoning and discussion, focusing only on issues related to practice and emotional transformation. Reducing speech helps individuals return to themselves. Those who talk much tend to socialize, seeking sensory joy through interaction. In contrast, those with inner tranquility spend more time reflecting on their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. These different tendencies lead to different paths of suffering and happiness. Pessa's observations. After Kandaraka praised the Buddha's spiritual and ethical education, his son Pessa, a potential Buddhist, made 3 observations. 1. Pessa asserted, "The practice of mindfulness on body, mind, emotions, and thoughts can help practitioners overcome all suffering in life. It purifies them, enables them to conquer sorrow, attain wisdom, and realize nirvana." However, he concluded, "Lay people like us sometimes practice, but with limited time, our results are minimal compared to the monastics practicing under the Buddha's spiritual guidance in this forest." Pessa's assessment of the 4 foundations of mindfulness aligns with the Buddha's teachings, using meditation to transform emotions as a means. Meditation involves 2 aspects, the tool and the tranquility achieved through correct use. Without proper tools and methods, the desire and concept of happiness may not be realized. The tools and methods here involve the body, emotions, mind, and thoughts. Typically, human consciousness is drawn to aesthetic values of the body. People who emphasize appearance are concerned with general and specific features, form, color, posture, fashion, and aesthetics. Their lives are absorbed by external appearance, losing the ability for self-reflection. Human emotions fluctuate like tides. The concept of happiness and suffering often parallels emotional tides. When emotions surge, one may feel joy, expressed in smiles and laughter. But when emotions recede, suffering, tears, sorrow, and fear emerge, dominating them. Using emotions as a tool for contemplation, practitioners recognize their relative nature, preventing control by them. Similarly, they observe their mind, its steps, movements, changes, motives, attitudes, tendencies, and goals, whether good or bad, desirable or undesirable, valuable or worthless, ethical or unethical, correcting it towards genuine happiness. Thoughts often create endless trouble for those lacking mental control. Sensory contact through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body leaves impressions influencing memories, fantasies, evaluations of value or worthlessness, forming attitudes. These attitudes cause losing oneself in the past or future, ignoring present value. Therefore, body, emotions, mind, and thoughts are tools helping practitioners establish mental tranquility. They achieve silence, speaking only necessary, beneficial words, dedicating energy to contemplation, understanding life's essence, and freeing themselves from suffering. 2. The Blessed One understands the essence of happiness and suffering in the human world, full of confusion, impurities, and deceit. This statement may shock many. Only the Blessed One truly comprehends the nature of happiness and suffering in a world entangled in sensory attachments. It is a world of deceit, where people cheat and harm each other, competing for benefits, disregarding others' happiness or suffering. It is the residue of enslavement to erroneous customs, paths lacking contentment, blocking the gateways of creativity and spiritual discovery. Pessa's recognition affirms the Buddha's educational path broadens human vision, enabling practitioners to become more insightful and overcome personal challenges. Believing the Buddha's words can unleash one's greatest potential. Potential is infinite. Everyone has equal inherent potential, but self-confidence and method determine its value. How this potential is harnessed through method is crucial. 3. Comparing human nature with animals, Pessa said, "How confused is the human world, how open is the animal world." After this statement, Pessa explained, "As an experienced elephant trainer, I can subdue wild elephants, recognizing their deceit and turning them into well-trained performers for festivals and cultural events. This skill is achievable by trained elephant trainers. However, I cannot clearly see the mind and actions of humans. Understanding human mind and behavior is extremely difficult. That is the confused world." Pessa implied seeing humans' exterior, but not their inner mind. Actions, words, external expressions may somewhat align with thoughts, but can also be completely opposite. In other words, humans' words and deeds rarely match. This discrepancy is a trap, leading to emotional entanglements, losing oneself in relationships. Pessa provided concrete examples. Even his servants assisting in elephant training, when asked to perform tasks, responded affirmatively, committing to follow instructions. Yet in reality, they did differently. People may speak well but act poorly, talk methodically but act arbitrarily. Thus, the gap between words and deeds, knowledge and reality, method and result, expectation and achievement becomes a significant challenge for those seeking success. Affirmation of the Blessed One. Seize the opportunity to elevate spiritual values. After hearing the 3 observations, the Buddha asked Pessa, "In this world, which of the 4 types of people do you prefer?" The first type is the person who inflicts suffering on themselves. The second is the person who inflicts suffering on others. The third is the person who inflicts suffering on both themselves and others. The fourth is the person who neither inflicts suffering on themselves nor on others. Pessa replied, "Blessed One, we have encountered the first 3 types of people frequently in life and interactions, and I do not wish to become one of them. For I see clearly that, even among ourselves and such people, the desire for happiness is there, but they end up embracing suffering due to lack of method and guidance. What I appreciate most is the 4th type of person, who neither inflicts suffering on themselves nor on others, does not become a burden to society, and does not cause concern or worry with their actions, words, or deeds." Having answered the Buddha's question, the father and son sought permission to leave, citing the many tasks they had to attend to. The Blessed One bid them farewell. After they had left, the Buddha called all the monks together. He said, "Among the father and son, Pessa has the potential for understanding and wisdom, the capacity to practice goodness because he comprehends the methods. However, it is unfortunate that if they had stayed and listened to the detailed analysis of the 4 types of people, Pessa's path to wisdom and capabilities would have advanced far beyond what he currently possesses." Here, it is worth noting that opportunities are often missed due to livelihood concerns. Facing the Blessed One, discussing the essence of religion, truth, ethics, happiness, and suffering, they still missed the chance to absorb the spiritual wisdom the Blessed One could impart. Opportunities are not lost because they do not come, but because people are often unwilling to receive them. Sometimes when truth knocks, we wave it away. Many who come to help are met with suspicion. Skepticism about cause and effect and improper questioning methods make many miss their chances. Or when faced with constructive feedback or discussions to resolve our dilemmas, feelings of inferiority arise, causing us to close off, deny, and not accept the paths others might offer us. Opportunities are missed because people are not ready to embrace them. Everyone is busy, but by visiting a temple with Dharma activities and classes, people can at least spend a few hours a week enriching their spiritual life. Although ethical paths and practices can be updated through reading scriptures, listening to lectures, reading books or online resources, attending retreats or being at the temple offers a psychological contagion, encouraging diligence and overcoming obstacles more easily and successfully. Practicing alone at home sometimes leads to boredom and excuses, missing the chance to elevate oneself. In this case, the father and son Kandaraka praised the Blessed One and correctly identified the essence of the Dharma path as bringing happiness. But when the time came for the Blessed One to share more deeply, they asked to defer analysis of the four types of people who inflict suffering on themselves. Ancient Indian asceticism includes four forms. 1. Naked asceticism. This erroneous method believes that living naked, enduring hardships, suppressing emotions, and punishing the body can eliminate sexual desires and household enjoyments, thus leading to liberation. This flawed method led many to futile efforts. Even the Buddha experienced such practices before realizing their futility. Naked asceticism and other forms of self-mortification often result in physical ailments, deteriorated mental and spiritual health, hindering the best potential transformation. Those practicing naked asceticism may sow seeds of future poverty, having clothes but not wearing them, food but not eating it. 2. Cyclic fasting. Practitioners eat on schedules depending on their endurance. Some eat once every 2 days, 7 days, or even a month, sometimes surviving on sesame seeds to prove their endurance and eliminate sensory pleasure needs. They believe such endurance leads to liberation. Some eat grass, rice, seaweed, or cow dung. The Buddha deemed such practices not only unhelpful for enlightenment, but likely to cause rebirth as animals or livestock. 3. Austerity in dress. Practitioners wear coarse fabrics, burial shrouds, or bark, grass, or women's hair woven into garments. Such living never brings happiness, only hardship against harsh weather. 4. Self-inflicted pain. Practitioners submerge in the Ganges during winter, pluck hair with available tools, stand all day without sitting, or pierce their bodies with spikes to shed blood, hoping to eliminate all worldly desires. These self-torturing methods lack any basis and result in no peace or happiness. Introducing the self-inflicted suffering traditions in Buddhist culture helps rescue adherents from such religions, for many imitate the harsh ascetics. Brahmanic practice involves 4 life stages, the 4th being forced asceticism after familial responsibilities are met. Traditional Brahmin life becomes stuck in the 4th stage, mistaking self-punishment for happiness. Many sutras repeatedly critique these futile practices, yet modern Indians often idolize harsh ascetics for their extreme endurance, though such efforts serve no happiness or peace. Modern self-harm manifests in various forms, such as extreme dieting for appearance, risking health like the world supermodel who died in 2006 from excessive dieting to maintain a record thinness. Body needs must match work energy. Imbalance leads to illness. Proper exercise and balanced diet are essential for health, not self-imposed deprivation. Another example is consuming toxins, unhealthy food, alcohol, drugs, or tobacco, satisfying momentary tastes but causing long-term suffering and diseases. Additionally, misers who hoard money without spending or helping others fail to use it for life's happiness, another form of self-punishment. People who inflict suffering on others. 3 basic types. 1. Killers. The Buddha described those who butcher animals or hunt for food, earning little but creating significant karmic burden. 2. Criminals. Those who steal, engage in dishonest trades, produce weapons or poisons or counterfeit drugs causing death and suffering. 3. Executors and security enforcers. Those who execute criminals or enforce laws with violence can ensure public safety but must avoid hatred and punishment motives, or they incur significant karmic consequences. Judges and enforcers must practice compassion and understand karma to avoid unjust punishments and maintain societal peace. Such actions still carry karmic weight, but are lighter with proper ethical training. People who inflict suffering on themselves and others. The Buddha cited superstitious sacrificial traditions. Brahmanic kings seeking long reigns and officials seeking wealth would sacrifice many animals, contradicting the intended blessings and incurring short lifespans. An example includes a king's grand temple construction for sacrifices, dressing humbly and enduring discomfort. Rituals included milking cows, with the king, priests, queen, and others partaking in a sequence, believing each drop of milk brought blessings. Such large-scale animal sacrifices caused immense suffering and community burdens. Such superstitious practices persist. Transforming harmful customs takes centuries. Wrong traditions can spread quickly with influential figures, while correct practices are less lauded. The Buddha said wrong practices cause communal suffering, compelling people into unwanted acts. Modern analogs include harmful political policies causing widespread suffering, or misguided religious practices like suicide bombings, spreading terror and societal fear. Misguided leadership inflicts mass suffering through historical and communal karma. People who neither inflict suffering on themselves nor others. The ideal type, constituting 10% of the global population, aware and methodical in their success. The remaining 90% share similar desires but lack proper religious guidance, falling into temptations and missing happiness. Buddha's teachings describe ideal individuals, including monks who transform lust into compassion, and lay people who manage family life without prioritizing sexual pleasure. Ideal laypeople understand family as a temporary necessity, not ultimate happiness. Such individuals, through the 4 foundations of mindfulness, become serene, not slaves to desires, easily finding happiness. The Buddha said such people live in a Brahma body, metaphorically harmonizing with Brahma's nature, embodying love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. These qualities transcend mere fear of divine punishment, promoting true moral and ethical development for others' happiness. Introducing a method for becoming the 4th type, Buddha outlined 3 groups achieving this ideal. 1. Buddhas, self-enlightened, independently achieving and sharing the path for others. 2 noble ones, arhats and bodhisattvas, ordinary people pursuing ethical and spiritual development, aspiring to become like the Buddha. 3 steps to the art of living happily. Step 1. Complete personal moral development. No killing replaced by compassion. No stealing replaced by generosity. No adultery replaced by fidelity. No lying replaced by truth-telling. No divisiveness replaced by harmony. No harsh speech replaced by kind words. No frivolous talk replaced by meaningful speech. No excessive adornment replaced by simplicity. No unethical professions replaced by compassion and equality. These foundational ethics surpass material wealth, focusing on the essence of happiness through personal morality. Step 2. Train the mind for genuine awareness in every action, including utilizing supportive environments like retreats or temples for tranquility, addressing 5 hindrances: desire, ill will, sloth, restlessness, doubt. Step 3. Attain liberating wisdom. Wisdom in past life karma, understanding its lessons. Wisdom in future rebirths, discerning karmic causes and effects. Wisdom in eliminating all suffering. Achieving enlightenment. Many experience temporary joy from teachings but revert to previous states. True enlightenment eradicates suffering comprehensively. In summary, the sutra teaches: 1. Do not cause suffering for oneself or others. 2. Enhance deeper capabilities through meditative insight, freeing oneself from psychological and habitual constraints for lasting happiness. 3. Have faith and practice consistently for genuine long-term happiness. Pessa's excuse of limited time for 4 foundations practice is rebutted. Diligent practice everywhere ensures enduring happiness, transcending formal settings. Following Buddha's teachings transforms one into a serene, joyful, and enlightened being, sharing happiness with all.